Hello and welcome to the NewWorldReview, your source for everything anime and manga, and today we're back to talk about Clovers that happen to be black, with the additions of hearts, spades, and diamonds as well. Because it is time to review Arc 10 of Black Clover, an arc which apparently just doesn't have a name for reasons. And honestly, as a collective fan base, can we not do any better than this? Can't we just give it a name like Asta's Trial Arc, Heart Kingdom Expedition Arc, whatever it is, I don't care. So our bonus mission for today is that by the end of this video, we are going to need to have found a new name for this arc, because calling it Arc 10 is just ridiculous. Almost as ridiculous as you not having yet pressed the subscribe button for the New World Review. The act of doing so will immediately alert me to the fact that you would like to receive regular Black Clover content uploaded straight into your YouTube feed. But look, I do kind of empathize with the naming issues of Arc 10 because it really does appear to act as more of a bridging period between reincarnation and whatever comes next week, with the general premise being exploring the newfound vulnerability of the Clover Kingdom, as well as diving a bit more deeply into Asta and his devil-related infestation along with glorious curses, as well as the traditional Tabata style of expanding as many secondary characters as is humanly possible to fit in roughly 18 pages of weekly manga. It does get to a point where it is quite impressive. We'll start exactly where we left off with reincarnation though. Julius, my boy, you're quite small now, aren't you? I'm quite happy to hear that he has lost, quote, most of his magic, because I'm still not thrilled that he's alive to begin with, and Tabata is clearly very aware of what he's done here, because my feelings on this situation very much come out through Yami. When Julius said, well, I somehow survived, Yami immediately cuts in with, no, you were 100% dead, please give me back my resolution. Which is played for comedy, of course, and it's a nice meta acknowledgement of invoking the really crappy device of resurrection. So I'll say no more of it here. I know, Tabata knows, you know, knows, everyone knows that this was a weak narrative move, but let's try and make the most of it. What I did really like was how Julius decided to deal with William, because once again it showcases his overall sense of duty. Because Julius was the one who appointed William as a captain, he assumes full responsibility for the events that have occurred. And also because he lost to the William part relict thing, so Julius is acting as a true leader here, which is great. I do like that he never pushes the blame onto others, even when it may actually be deserved to do so. He does, however, introduce us quite rapidly to three pretty monumental problems, one being that there is no longer an effective Wizard King, secondly that the Clover Kingdom is likely to be destroyed, and finally that Asta is almost certainly going to die. The stakes of this arc really skyrocketed rather quickly within its very first chapter. And I guess we'll focus on Asta first. Like the true genius he is, Asta decides that he can no longer talk his way out of this problem and ends up being put on trial for devil-related reasons, during which he only continues to incriminate himself further at every turn, especially when the charges of suspecting that he communicates with the devil are announced, to which Asta replies, "Nuh-uh, the devil in my grimoire is completely different to that devil," which I loved. But this whole process is overseen by a new character named Damnatio Kira, which I imagine probably sounds quite cool in Japanese. However, in English, he sounds a bit like an edgy teenager's first D&D character. You know, my name is Damnatio Killer McDeath. XXX. In any case, a man whose name is composed of both the words damnation and killer, well, he's mildly imposing. A bit of a dick as well, using Marie to lure Asta out and all of that thing. Although I do really like his magic. Scale magic seems so incredibly useful, and it makes me wonder, well, where the hell were you during the whole reincarnation thing? A man who can balance the magic of enemies would have been mighty useful against all of those extremely OP elves. Damn it, Damnatio. But word of Asta's trial spreads, surprisingly suddenly, to the point where he has his own newspaper article with this very flattering picture actually. It makes Asta look a lot better than he has ever appeared elsewhere in Black Clover, sort of like they've applied a Bishonen filter to the image. In this newspaper, Asta is quite literally a handsome devil. However, this whole trial business does lead to my favorite moment of the arc, where the Black Bulls burst into magical parliament, which is the most Harry Potter thing I've heard in the series yet. But initially we have 2 pages of close-ups on obscure and mostly unidentifiable parts of their bodies. However, you can tell who each member is by their dialogue, which I love. I think it's great that we've gotten to the point where we know this squad so well that they can be identified by speech alone. Except for Vanessa, who is obviously tits incarnate, so her close-up is going to be her natural cliff face. But then we have what I think is the greatest group shot of the Black Bulls, or even Black Clover characters in general to this point, and all around this section just acted as a mighty big payoff to the story so far. Seeing all of these friends and comrades that Asta had painstakingly earned showing up to save him, it's a nice reversal of, you know, the standard situation. With the ultimate conclusion being, we're going on a road trip. Asta and the Black Bulls are saved via a banishment mission, which leads us into the next section of the arc, seeking out knowledge of curses. And there is a lot of cool stuff here, but we do start out with Charlotte, who is, she's still quite a joke character, all flustered with Yami and such. But at the very least, she does have a pretty liberating moment where she publicly admits to loving him, which Yami takes quite well in his own adorably idiotic way. Although I must say it doesn't really lead to us learning much in the end. What's more interesting was Noelle's conversation with Dorothy Unsworth, where it is revealed that her mother was actually killed via a curse, and that older brother extraordinaire Nozzle was forced to hide this information, lest the curse claim him as well. And that makes the whole Noelle situation a bit more tragic, but it does explain quite succinctly why Nozzle was the only one of the siblings who was not a complete trash bag. And as a result, I do think that going back to read early Black Clover would be quite an interesting experience knowing what I do now. Most importantly though, this Dream World section grants us our first devil name, which is Megicula, a devil who is thought to be more powerful than generic devil man that we just fought off during reincarnation, and hugely important for events going forward in both the Heart and Spade Kingdoms. We'll get to that. But just to finish off the whole curse information tangent, we also dive into Gordon a bit more and even get to meet his family, which is hilarious. I love that each and every one of them have the exact same face, even the dog, and there was a great subversion at play when it turns out that his father is a recovery mage who has used the study of pain for medicinal purposes. So I do like Gordon and his family quite a bit. What's more is that I noticed Gordon confronted his family with the rest of his G squad, being Gauche and Grey, so that's a nice little continuation of his growing bonds with the other Black Bull members. He might not be as familiar as he wants to be with the whole squad, but at the very least Gauche and Grey are now established Gordon friends, whether they like it or not. But now we move on to expanding into some other nations, something I really enjoyed because I am a big fan of world building, something that most shonen series honestly really suck at. And Black Bull, it's not the best, but I will take what I can get. And what we get is a very sudden excursion to the Heart Kingdom. And actually I don't think sudden quite expresses the feeling well enough, because we basically go from, oh Mimosa, you've been to the Heart Kingdom before, right? To turning a page and we're all just immediately within the Heart Kingdom like it's no big deal. Holy crap, that was fast. Anyway, I do like that the Heart Kingdom has a distinct culture of its own, at least when it comes to magic and mana use, which introduces us to another great spirit actually, Undine, who is kind of like Sylph but bigger and water related, which I imagine is meant to be pretty impressive, right? Like if the salamander situation was anything to go by, the size of the spirit is pretty much a direct indication of how much of their power is able to be utilized. Maybe, I don't know. That's just the impression I have at the moment. Either way, there's some, impressive crap happening in the Heart Kingdom, most of which is handled by this really awkward queen, which is also fun. And it's kind of cliche, but I'm glad she isn't a standard stoic power queen as well, sort of like the Witch Queen. Although to be fair, that Witch Queen, oh, she's cool. Still easily one of my favorite characters in the series. We do have problems though, as per usual, one of which is that our Queen of Hearts is cursed by the ever fiendish Megicula and will die within a year. That's pretty bad. And as such, we are teaming up with the Clover Kingdom, sort of, which I liked the reasoning behind, by the way. The whole idea that for as powerful as these Heart Kingdom dude bras are, their magical evolution is just completely incompatible with the idea of fighting devils. So they need to rely on these very obscure brands of Clover Kingdom magic that have popped up, like Yami's dark magic. Oh, and before moving on, we have a new magic ranking system as well. Something simultaneously less and yet somehow more vague than the Magic Knight ranking system. The Heart Kingdom do things by levels. A system that is also immediately broken by the idea of level 0 and arcane level, but I like stuff like this regardless. I crave structure, I demand it. And sadly, the Magic Knight system gave me very little of that. It was exciting at first before all of the ranks were rendered pretty much irrelevant. And I think this system will probably follow along the same lines, just knowing Black Clover at this stage, but let's go with it for now. Especially since Noelle is a glorious stage 1 and is now casually sporting that Valkyrie armor, doing exactly what I wanted her to do, by the way, thrusting herself onto the front lines and no longer having to act as a mere support mage. She is just so legitimately amazing now, like the magical equivalent of Asta. But getting into big news, the most intriguing information comes from the Spade Kingdom, who appear to be our new long-term bad guys now the elves are, well, they're no longer a thing. In fact, we didn't even know what happened to Partry and the three dude bras at this point. They just vanished. Didn't even think about that until now. But the Spade guys are immediately highlighted as quite serious business because for the first time in human history, Locke does not want to fight someone. A Spade Kingdom representative that he spots whilst keeping an eye on the Diamond Kingdom. Pretty scary stuff, I suppose, but naturally we do need to escalate the threat, which is a bit of a difficult thing to do after having faced off against this impossibly powerful band of elves as well as an infinitely powerful devil. In fact, power in the series really has gone, I'm going to say completely off the charts, so I am a bit worried that Black Clover is reaching that point in the shonen life cycle where things just start to get to Bleach levels of ridiculousness. And that idea is probably probably not helped by the fact that this arc basically ends with an off-screen training arc. Although I could not have been more glad to see that 6 months later pop up. For a second, I was really scared that Black Clover was going to be bogged down with like a legitimate 6 months of training, which probably would have had some nice Tabata character moments in it, but damn, do I not want that. So Tabata has made a reasonable decision to take a mini time skip here, which is exciting because I imagine that our characters will have changed quite a bit, even though I suppose it's a relatively short amount of time. It's not like the 2 years that the One Piece characters took or something, but I'm sure there is a lot to learn from the Heart Kingdom, and I am very much looking forward to seeing how our characters evolve. I'm also looking forward to seeing Finral basically like cuck Langris. Ugh, Langris. And you know what, Langris, you're not helping yourself with lines like, "Humph, I won't let you get a happy ending that easily, Finral." Like, dude, just let your brother get jerked off. What's your problem? And with that, I think we have found the final piece in the name of this arc. So that pretty much does it for this blind review of the Heart Kingdom Trial Spade Threat Cuck Langris arc. And what do you guys think? Please do leave your thoughts in the comments below, or even join my Discord server. And if you're keen for some more Black Clover content, then please do check out some of my other videos, or even subscribe to the channel for very maybe regular Black Clover goodness delivered straight into your YouTube feed. But for now, this has been the New World Review, and I'll see you next time.